Number one quarterback in the nation, John Scott. Well, now his eyes are turned towards Sanford. John Scott and Coach Wolf had a very heated argument on the field today after this team was run dry after a very, very physical practice. From what it looked like a multitude of explicitives used on both sides, and Scott walking off the field 45 minutes before practice was supposed to conclude. Because of last week's game that we saw from Scott and what we saw from Grant Fink, he will be given the starting job this week against UConn. He can look at this as a tryout and try and make the most of his opportunity. He is a Sanford Coyote. He has committed to the school. He will join the quarterback room next season. Hello, Sanford. You are watching the Coyotes Football Network. I'm Jonathan West, and welcome to a very special edition of The Howler. And why is it special, folks? Well, it's simply put that it's the biggest game of the season, I think, by many Sanford fans' measures looking at the games left on the schedule. But let's talk about recruiting before we get into what's going on this weekend. It is huge, but nonetheless, there are some big things in the recruiting pool that's happened. Zeke Braun, the offensive lineman out of Montreal, Canada, apparently after his visit is ecstatic with the Coyotes, so that is a definite name to watch. Some more names to really keep track of. Jeremy Payne, he will be visiting this week during the return of John Scott at Sanford. And with from what I've heard from this team, and we'll get into this in just a bit, this is going to be a barn burner this weekend against Houston. It's going to be a fun one. Adam Jones, the athlete out of Gatesville, Texas, who is projected to more than likely play in the defensive backfield here at Sanford, he is also visiting this week, and it's another just fun situation. We have a guy who could be a deadly weapon coming in to watch a defense that is highly motivated, especially from the words that were coming out of the mouth of Coach Wolf from what I heard in practice. Sadly, a closed practice this week. We have no footage for you, but I trust you there was a reason that they held closed practice this week. There are two players coming in, both of which are looked at possible. Well, one is looked at a possible tight end, another one looked at a possible defensive tackle in, and Cameron Thomas, Marcus Carter, the tight end, who is coming in. But Thomas out of Oakland, California, will be visiting this week along with Marcus Carter, also from the California area, southern San Francisco. Those are two men you definitely have to keep an eye on because Sanford is trying to get better at tight end. Not to mention, they want to upgrade and get themselves ready for the future at the defense, as well as possibly use Cameron Thomas as a two-way player. There's been talk of him playing on the defensive line and at tight end. So a very interesting situation with Cameron Thomas if that were to take place. Now, other names to keep in mind, as always, one of the top middle linebackers in the nation, Lester Smith, and one of the more interesting prospects, I would say, R.J. Wright, the cornerback out of California. This team trying to get their way into the California area and try and win over those California prospects that they have been unable to beforehand. And they are really going after California. Another prospect to watch is Rodney Walton out of California. A lot of defensive players in that area. But two receivers on the board, Joe Rankin and Mario Gardner, are guys to still keep an eye on. And those receivers are going to be big with graduation coming up at the end of the season. Players of the week this week for the AAC, it's Clint O'Connor, the outside linebacker for Memphis, and David James, the senior running back for Cincinnati, both of which having very good games in their matchups. But let's talk about what we all want to talk about. And it's Houston versus Sanford. Number 1 in the AAC versus number 2 in the AAC. It's the exact matchup that we all wanted to see for a number of reasons. One, undefeated Houston taking on a Sanford team that a lot of the Sanford faithful believe should be undefeated. Nevertheless, it's also the return of John Scott, and I'm sure by now you folks have plenty seen the hype package, the promo, what you want to call it, made by the folks here at the Coyotes Football Network. Very fun situation there, and it's gonna be an interesting game because from what I heard took place at practice, this team has never been more focused than they are this week. They held a close practice, and from what I was able to get out of Coach Wolf, it sounds like he not only drilled it into the defense's mind that this is a guy that does not want you to succeed, but he also seemed to drill it into the mind of Grant Fink that this is the man who doesn't believe that you should have gotten the job. A lot of interesting situations there in the way of really Sanford being looked at by John Scott as the weaker situation here. He looks at Grant Fink as a guy who shouldn't have gotten the job. He looks at this defense as something he can pick apart. Well, I think Coach Wolf has definitely drilled it into this team that they're going to take it upon themselves to show John Scott that they're not that easy to take care of. Of course, Sanford and Houston is the big game to watch this week, along with UCF at Cincinnati. Those are the two big games I think a lot of people are keeping their eyes on. Notre Dame also hosting Navy. So on paper, Sanford, I'd say, is the better team if you just look at it on paper. Kirk Herbstreit does have the Coyotes taking the W at home, and I'm going to agree with him on that. After just hearing about what took place at practice and the left guard situation for Houston not being good, their starting left guard now out for the season, you've got to sit here and think that Sanford has to have the upper hand. They have to have the upper hand here. They have looked good all season long. The one loss was, of course, a Hail Mary ending. So you can't put a lot of... I don't think you can put a lot into that game. Whereas Houston has had some tight games. They have not looked dominant in a lot of situations. So it's very interesting to see how these two teams are going to match up. I feel like it's more a dominant team against a much weaker team. That's just the way I'm looking at it. They do have John Scott, who's having a good season overall. And a key component to his good season is he's made very few mistakes. But we'll talk more about him in just a bit. Let's talk about the other weapons on this Houston offense, and it all starts with Jorge Joyce. And I mean, when it comes to weapons, you don't get one much better than this. He's already rushed for 838 yards. This Houston team is very pro style. They run I'd say very similar offense, except utilizing the no huddle, to Sanford. So this is going to be an interesting way to see how John Scott has kind of converted to using a running back maybe a little more than he anticipates. As Joey Richardson, when that ball's in the air, is going to be the top target for Scott to look to, as Richardson's already got 632 yards on the year as well as 6 touchdowns. So he is the top priority when Scott puts that ball up. However, he has dropped 4 passes, and that does not look good on him. They also have a very speedy counterpart to Richardson, and that is Kyle Copeland. He stands at 6 foot 191, and he is very similar to a player that John Scott played with. In my eyes, he is very much like Pat Jackson, that was formerly here at Sanford. So a very similar player to what John Scott is accustomed to in Copeland. Now on that defense of Houston, you have Brian Walker. He's just the beginning of a very solid defensive line. Now, Walker is not going to get you a ton of sacks a year, but he will pick up a good amount of them. He's already got 4.5 this year. His career high is 5.5, and I think he could easily break that. On the other side is Will Harvey. Now, Harvey, I feel, is much more of a pure pass rusher. He's also got 4.5 sacks already, but I think he could have a lot more. I think even double that number by the end of the season. Harvey could be the toughest guy to keep an eye on this defense. Now, in the middle of those two, it's Joey Brown, the sophomore defensive tackle. Now, Brown hasn't been the deadly threat in the middle of that line, but he does have 2 sacks, and he's also forced a fumble as well as deflected a pass. So he can get those hands up, and that's going to be a big contributor if Grant Fink decides to stay in the pocket. This offensive line is going to have to hold up. The linebacking core for Houston, also quite dominant. Otis Pino. He is the top guy to watch, I'd say, on that linebacking core. He's got 3.5 sacks, an interception, and a number of passes deflected. And now let's go all the way to that defensive backfield, because there's a guy you definitely have to watch, and I think it's going to be fun to watch him match up against Williams this weekend. Anthony Thompson, the 6 foot 189 senior. He's got 2 interceptions and 1.5 sacks, as well as 7 passes deflected. That guy's going to be a weapon on that defense. But of course, it's all about one man, number 18, John Scott. He's got 16 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He's had a very solid season. But we'll see how that solid season fares up against his old team. As Joe Baker's the first name we're going to talk about here, and I know you all are thinking, what about the guy under center? We'll talk plenty of him here as the player to watch. But nonetheless, Joe Baker having a solid season with the fact that they are utilizing a three-headed monster in the running game. So his numbers are not going to look outlandish, but he does already have 5 rushing touchdowns. I could see him hitting double digits this year. Now, Josh Williams has had a slower start than I think some would expect from him this season. 551 yards, only 5 touchdowns, which already matches the lowest number he's had in his career here at Sanford. He's had a good year overall, 78.7 yards per game. And I think that is going to continue. I don't see him having that game where he just doesn't get the ball going his way. He's the top target, and it's going to stay that way. But a man that has come on this season is junior Adam Gillette. Now, Gillette, of course, is looking to be the number 1 guy when Williams graduates this offseason. He's having a very good season of his own. Already 3 touchdowns, which matches his career high. And I think he's starting to become a favorite of Grant Fink. So expect to see Gillette a lot more in that passing game. And another guy to keep in mind, the big 6'7", 270 sophomore tight end, Garrett Theory. We haven't seen a ton of him this year. He had a very good freshman year. And I think his sophomore year, it is truly a sophomore slump. However, I think it's just the start because of how good Williams has been. Because I think Theory's got just 2 big years left in his arsenal. Now over on that defensive side, you can't get much better than what we have at Sanford, I think. Because Scott Boyd, the senior defensive end, is having a career year. He's got 7 sacks already, 1 away from tying his career high at 8 last year. He has had a phenomenal year, and the guy on the other side of him, well, he's coming back from that sophomore slump. Shea Faraday, not the greatest year last year, not by any means. But he's already got 5 sacks this year. That tops what he had last year at 4. He's already gotten an interception, the first of his career. Faraday has had a much better year. And I think if he can build off of this, senior year is going to be fun to watch. Now, Dylan Crosby, of course, the big defensive tackle, along with Kiwadwa Wakampong in the middle. He's got 3 sacks and a number of tackles currently to his name. Don't be surprised to see him get maybe even more today because Crosby is a monster. And without some help on that offensive line, Houston might have some problems. Another guy to keep in mind is the sideline-to-sideline runner at left outside linebacker, Adam Woods. This guy is a speedster at the linebacker position. He can do just about anything. He's a jack of all trades, a master of some, if you ask me. Now, Matthew Fowler, everyone knows him if you're a Sanford fan. He is the heart and soul of that defense. The middle linebacker, the captain, the man who's calling all the plays out there. And he's had a solid senior year. He hasn't pulled off any sacks, no interceptions, but he is still running that defense hard. He's got a number of tackles on the year, and he does have 1 pass deflection. Expect for him to continue doing what he does best, and that's lead this defense. Now, the guy who has surprised, I think, everybody this year, Jovan Cohen at right outside linebacker. Every year it seems we're talking about that right outside linebacker spot. He's got 1 sack on the year, but he has shown elite speed from that spot, and it has been just fun to watch. Now, in that defensive backfield, it all starts with Keith Darby, the sophomore corner, the leader of that defensive backfield. He's got 2 picks on the year, ties his high from last year. 2 passes deflected and a defensive touchdown. This guy's going to be a guy that Scott's got to watch out for. If Scott throws his way, it's going to end up poorly. Not to mention, if he also throws the way of Marvin Clark, things are going to end up poorly. He's got 3 interceptions on the year, does the free safety, and he has really evolved into that ball hawk that I believe Coach Wolf saw in him when they brought him in as an athlete. And finally, the last man to talk about before we talk about the player to watch, Tyrone Justice. Now, the question really is going to be if Justice can be served this weekend, but if he continues the play that he's been on, I think Justice is going to do just fine against the undefeated Cougars and John Scott throwing that football. Now, folks, Grant Fink, number one on the field, number one in our hearts. 1,543 yards on the year, 11 interceptions, 14 touchdowns. It's been a very up and down year and a big sophomore slump. But I think this is just the game to get him back on the right track. This weekend, Sanford returns home and hosts John Scott as he comes back. Hello, Sanford. You are watching the Coyotes Football Network. I'm Jonathan West, and welcome to Sanford City Stadium. It is time to hashtag defend the den more so than ever as the Sanford College Coyotes host the Houston Cougars, the undefeated Houston Cougars. It's number 7 versus number 25, but forget the rankings, forget the records. It's all about one thing. The quarterback in red, John Scott, the former Sanford College quarterback, the former Coyote, the man who was looked at as the future here in Sanford, has taken his talents to Houston. He said he wanted to see these Coyotes back here. Well, he's going to get it, and this team is focused. After a close practice this week, this team has been hyped up by Coach Wolf, I think, more than ever, and I expect a lot of punishment coming the way from this defense, sending it all to John Scott. As we get you underway here, and we are off. Dwayne Jones-Carter back to return. He's got some blocks already in front of him, and he's got a ton of running room. Past the 50, the 40, no one's gonna outrun Carter. Touchdown, Sanford. Well, it doesn't start much bigger. 95-yard touchdown return to start things off. Well, folks, the question now is, how does John Scott respond? The Coyote offense didn't even have to step out on the field. We do have a quick update for you. Michigan State and Michigan have a very interesting situation here as State takes down Michigan 28-21 in the upset. Speaking of the Big Ten, big news as Sanford has been working to finalize a deal to move out of the AAC this offseason and move to the Big Ten. Another upset to watch. Minnesota over Penn State 31-24. As Houston's offense now out on the field here in Sanford, John Scott hands off to Jorge Joyce. So Joyce gaining 10 yards on that run. And they're going to go into that no-huddle offense. So apparently we're not going to see Scott throw today as he runs and loses a yard there. We'll see if he ever decides to throw this football. 2nd and 11. No, Scott going to take off again. He has done some of this in his time at Sanford, but only gains 2. He's not known for his running ability. As Scott now looking to throw on 3rd down to the sideline. Wesley Wolf intercepted, and you can't get much more poetic than that. A man with the last name Wolf might be spelled differently, but wearing a big number here at Sanford. Number 20, formerly Richard Cruz, gets the first pick of this bowl game. As Fink looks to throw, though, on 1st down here, he'll fall to the sack, a loss of 12. That's Otis Pino, arguably the top linebacker here at Houston. And that is going to be a tough hit to take. A loss of 12 on that first play. 2nd and 22 now here as the handoff goes to Baker. And Joe Baker only able to find 1 yard. Very tough 3rd and 21 now coming up for Sanford. Out of the shotgun formation, Fink takes the snap. And he's able to connect with Gillette. Bounces off a defender to open field. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Sanford. 54 yards. The first pass by Scott is a pick. The first pass thrown by Fink is a 54-yard touchdown. And you got to give a lot of credit to that man right there, number 82, Adam Gillette, for that one. Sanford on top, folks, by 2 scores. Houston now has to answer. It's 14-0 as they go to the draw for Joyce, but Jorge Joyce not going anywhere fast. Only a 2-yard run. 2nd and 8. Scott hands off, but he's wrapped up quickly. Joyce not going anywhere. Faraday all over him. Well, it's 3rd and 8 now. You've got to think Houston needs to throw as Scott looks to throw. He does connect with Joyce on the check down. That'll be an 11-yard gain and enough for the first down. 1st and 10 now. Shotgun formation, and Scott looks to throw. He connects with Johnston. That's going to be a gain of 9. We have yet to see Richardson or Copeland get involved in this passing game. 2nd and 1. They'll go option. Scott able to pick up just enough. He'll get right past the marker. So that will be a first down for Houston. 1st and 10 now. Shotgun formation is, look at this. The center takes the handoff. The center just literally ran with the football. It got him 7 yards, so I guess they'll take it, but that's an interesting play call. As Scott on 2nd down finally connects with the man I really made a connection to Patrick Jackson, his former Sanford receiver. That's Kyle Copeland, a gain of 8. It's 1st and 10. Ingram, the man in motion, as Scott will go to Ingram on the screen, and he does stiff arm one man. I believe that was Gordon Sutton. Only a gain of 4. It's 2nd and 6 now for Houston as they finally have a drive going, and this has lasted a while, but they try another screen to Richardson. This time it doesn't work. Richardson gains nothing, and it's going to be 3rd and 5. Scott looks to throw on 3rd down, connects with Richardson, and it's going to only be a 4-yard gain as this defense has been all over it. And look at this, folks. Houston is going for it on 4th and 2. Scott connects with Riley over the middle, and it's going to be an 11-yard gain. Enough for the first down is Darius Riley able to find that football. 1st and 10 handoff goes to Joyce, and Jorge Joyce right up the middle for a gain of 15 down at around the 1-yard line. Well, it's 1st and goal now here, shotgun formation. Scott looks to throw. He'll connect with Josh Jones. 2-yard touchdown strike. Houston's on the board. Well, Sanford's offense now back on the field as a 4-yard run here from Joe Baker to start things. 2nd and 6 coming up. As the handoff now on 2nd down goes to Collins, and Chad Collins just tripped up. He had a chance there to break one, but gets just tripped up. He will gain 7 and a first down, though. As Fink now looks to throw. He'll roll out instead. Can't get it off in time. That'll be a sack. The 2nd sack of the day by Houston, and that is Will Harvey. I said he's more than likely the deadlier of the 2 pass rushers. And, well, I think that proves it right there. Able to keep step for step pretty much with Graham Fink. 2nd and 17 now after the sack. Fink setting up the screen for Dwayne Jones-Carter. The speed's on display again, folks. A nice cut there by Carter, and what a run. 37 yards off that screen. Now, it's not an impressive catch, it's a screen, but what he does after the catch is just magic. The speed on display of Dwayne Jones-Carter, and look at this. Beautiful cut. Absolutely amazing by Carter, as he has been the standout, I'd say, so far this week. The offset Heights play action. Fink looks to throw. He'll just go to Gutierrez. The fullback gets involved, and he even fights forward for an extra maybe 2 yards. That's going to be a gain of 20 for Charles Gutierrez. And right now, folks, it's a perfect day for Graham Fink. 3 of 3, 111. As he looks to throw again out of this full house. He connects with Josh Williams. I can't even talk. 16-yard touchdown strike, and it's a 20-7 ball game. And right now it's just perfection for the Sanford side of things. Well, for Houston, you got to get something going. 1st and 10 now after the answer from Sanford, as right back to Jorge Joyce they go, but Sanford's been on top of it. As down goes Joyce for only a gain of 2. Houston's got to find a way to get a ton of momentum going. Handoff goes to Joyce again as he is dropped for a loss of 1. So that was Tyrone Justice that came up to make the play. As that will take us to the end of the first quarter. It is 7-21, Sanford on top. Welcome back, everyone, to Sanford. Here's the second quarter just getting underway. John Scott looks to throw as that is an interception. Justice is served. Tyrone Justice with the interception of John Scott, and he threw it right at Justice. 1st and 10 now as Tyrese Baker checks in. He pitches it to Baker, but Baker fights through a tackle. That was not a smart pitch by any means, but what a play by Joe Baker to power through the defender. That's what made that play possible. It's a new set of downs after that run, and they'll go back to the ground. It's Dwayne Jones-Carter, and it's been working out for him, but only a gain of 1 this time for Carter. 2nd and 9 now as the offset I formation. Fink looking to throw. He's rolling out. Now he's going to take off with it. Can he make it? He's fighting. Touchdown, Sanford! As Grant Fink does the one thing that John Scott can't. Uses that mobility and athleticism that he has. Scott much more of a pocket passer. Fink can do that. And he's just done it so much, and it's worked out. As we take you to an update, Memphis 48-24 over USF. The Memphis Tigers looking quite good this year, folks. As we're back here in Sanford, it's another offensive drive here for Houston. They've got to get momentum going if they want a chance. As Scott off the option, able to pick up 9 yards, as I bring up, of course, that he doesn't have that athleticism. I think he showed me a bit there. 2nd and 1, Scott going to take the option again, and he's going to pick up another good chunk. Gain of 7 this time. 1st and 10, Scott goes to the screen for Riley. But Riley can't pick up much. It's going to be a loss of 1 on that reception. 2nd and 11. Scott looking to throw again towards the sideline. It's taken away. Guy Hurd. And I'm hearing this crowd plenty, as this crowd is just loud and proud with the way this defense has played. That is interception number 3 on the day. This has just been absolutely insane with the way they've played. Wolf, Justice, and Hurd. It's a handoff here for Joe Baker, and he's going to gain only 2 yards here. Can't find much room around that right side. 2nd and 8 now here for the Coyotes as Fink hands off to Dwayne Jones-Carter, and he's able to find some room. That's going to be a gain of 10 out of that shotgun run, and that will make a new set of downs for Sanford. Fink now out of the single back. He'll go Baker on the ground, and this running game continues to succeed. A 13-yard gain now here for Joe. 1st and goal, it's play action. Fink rolling out a bit. He's going to keep rolling as he runs, and that's going to be a 2-yard rush. He's not able to get a ton, but he is able to get back up to neutral yardage. 2nd and goal now out of the eye. They're going to pitch it out to Baker, but he can't find the edge. It was well covered there by that Houston defense. Well, 3rd and goal now. Fink looking to throw over the middle. That's Dwayne Jones-Carter. Dwayne Jones-Carter, folks, has found the end zone a ton of times already. This man has had a huge game today. He started us off on the scoring, and now he picks up his second score of the day. It's been big for him, and I think even better for Fink, who is still perfect on the day. 3 minutes and 18 seconds left here in this first half as Forte gets decked there. Lynn Forte takes a shot from Sanford, and well, Houston's had a tough time with this defense. Second and 7, Scott looking to throw. And he had somewhat of a tough time getting that ball off from the looks of things. That barely made it to, I believe, Copeland. Third and 7. Scott tried the sideline again, but guess what, folks? For a second time today, Justice has served, and it's all the way to the end zone, as Justice keeps his feet in bounds this time. Able to keep those feet in and takes it all the way in as he serves up Justice twice this week. John Scott has thrown more touchdowns to the Sanford Coyotes than he has Houston. As now it's 2nd and 8 here. Scott finds Rutledge, and that's a big first down. I think he might finally be realizing what team he actually plays for. I think stepping back in the Sanford City Stadium, he thought he was wearing the beat-em-ups. As Scott connects with Copeland here on 1st and 10. That'll be a 6-yard connection. So these beat-em-ups have really proven effective this week. They are truly beating up the Houston Cougars in this first half. As another connection here, this time it's Riley. Houston finally has some momentum going for him. 2 minutes remain here in this second half. Or I'm sorry, this first half. Scott looks to throw once again towards the sideline, but that one far out of bounds. 2nd and 10 here. Still in a shotgun formation. Scott setting up a screen. He'll connect with Jorge Joyce, but mother of God, what a shot. Adam Woods laying the wood. 3rd and 9. Scott looks to throw, but he's gonna be wrapped up. Good night, Irene. Jovan Cohen with the sack. I'm not sure who got there first. It looks like it was Kewadwo Akampong who got there first, and then Jovan Cohen and Scott Boyd finished the job. What a team effort there, as that takes us to halftime. 42-7, Sanford dominating the Cougars. Well, it's the second half of play, folks, here in Sanford. Welcome back. 42-7 your score, as John Scott's been having a troublesome day. That one bounces off the hands of his intended receiver. 4 interceptions in the first half for John Scott. And fun fact, folks, the second stringers are in. And look at this. That is Guy Hurd playing top corner right now. A great play by Hurd right there, as that brings up 3rd and 10. Scott connects with Jorge Joyce, and he's not going to get enough on that screen. He's brought down. 1st and 10 now, and that man who made the stop, Troy Baker, the brother of Joe Baker, as Dwayne Jones-Carter gets the handoff here on offense, a gain of 6. So they go now to Chad Collins, the optometrist. He's had a rough day, a loss of 1 on that one. It's 3rd and 5 now, as they go to the option for Tyrese Baker, but Baker apparently not going to fool anybody, as Otis Pino, really the bright spot here for Houston today. 1st and 10, shotgun formation, as Houston's back on offense. And Jorge Joyce picks up another screen, but he's unable to do anything with it, a loss of 1. 2nd and 11. Shotgun formation here for Scott. He's got to be hoping that he can at least score against the second stringers, as pressure came in quick. Joyce, though, able to get the football, as Scott, I think, barely was able to get that off. a 7-yard gain, and it'll make it a manageable 3rd down. Scott still out of the shotgun here on 3rd down as he connects with Johnston. That'll be a gain of 9 and a 1st down for Houston. It's been a tough week, and the song used in the promo package was Drag Me to Hell. And, well, really, I think John Scott's been dragged to hell by this Sanford defense today, as he's thrown 4 interceptions, has not had a good day, as that one's off the hands of Copeland on 1st down. And it's just been a tough outing for him. 2nd and 10. Scott setting up another screen. Good block there as Vince Ingram with a nice stiff arm. And he will pick up enough. He got a very good stiff arm there on Guy Hurd, which really helped him get that 1st down. 1st and 10 now as Scott throws and does connect, but out of bounds, leading his receiver just too far over. Well, it's 2nd and 10 now as Scott looks to throw. And pressure comes in. Down he goes. And that, I believe, was Hamilton. No, I'm sorry, it's Kevin Collier, the defensive tackle, who comes in. One of the rotation defensive linemen is Collier. He plays in. I've seen him play a little bit of tackle before. But Collier picks up a big sack there. Is now a false start from Houston. They have gone into utter chaos. 3rd and 18. Scott looking to throw here as more pressure, and he just quickly throws that one away. I think this defense is in the head of John Scott. It's back to the Sanford backup offense, as it's a 2-yard run there for Dwayne Jones-Carter. And we can say this much. The starters won't be getting hurt this week. That's a definite, as they quickly brought in the 2nd stringers, and it was probably the smartest idea as a loss of 1 here by Dwayne Jones-Carter. It's probably the smartest idea this team has had. They had a huge lead bringing the backups, and the backups are performing quite well as a catch here for Brandon King, the backup receiver. There will be a gain of 2. So back to Houston's offense we go. Can they get back on the board's the question, as Scott connects with Copeland. And that's going to be enough for the 1st down, gain of 12 on that reception. 1st and 10 now, still in the shotgun as they continue their no huddle, but Copeland can't catch that one right off his hands. 2nd and 10 here. Scott alone in the backfield. It's a 5-wide set to the sideline, and that time is a catch inbounds. A big 1st down for Kelly Rutledge and this Houston offense. 1st and 10 as Scott still in that 5-wide set. He throws, connects with Rutledge, and Rutledge finds his way down to the 1. They're going to say he wasn't in the end zone. 28 yards. As now it's 1st and goal, still in the 5-wide set, as Scott takes himself for the QB draw. And well, as bittersweet as it is, John Scott has scored on the Coyotes. Either way, they have to kick it off to Dwayne Jones-Carter, and he's been the deadliest man, I think, on the field as he avoids 2 people there. Gets up past the 30, down at the 39. A 35-yard return. And this Sanford backup offense is a good starting spot. Has only a 1-yard run there on the pitch. 2nd and 9 here is less than a minute to go here in the 3rd quarter of play. Dwayne Jones-Carter gets the handoff. He's got the edge, and look at the running room. A 26-yard run for Carter, and he has had a huge day. After that run, this Sanford team has over 100 yards rushing. 1st and 10 in the shotgun. Baker wanted to go to the pitch, but again, it's a poorly timed pitch. It ends in a fumble, and it is recovered by the Cougars. That's the 1st turnover today by the Coyotes. Houston now with 19 seconds left in the third to make something happen. Joyce gets the handoff and the draw, can only find 4 yards. 2nd and 6 as this will be the final play of the quarter. Joyce gets the delayed handoff again. It'll be a 2-yard run. Brings up manageable 3rd and 3 when we return. That's the end of the third quarter. It's 42-14. Sanford still dominant. We'll see you with the final quarter of play here in just a bit. Welcome back, folks, to the Coyotes Football Network. It's the final quarter of play here, and John Scott on the run here to begin the fourth quarter as he does pick up enough for the first down, a 4-yard gain. And I'll tell you this, folks, I don't think Houston can come back from this deficit, but these backups have played quite well in this second half. They have played quite well. I'm very surprised. Has a good situation there. It's a drop by Jorge Joyce on that last play. A quick connection, though, to Sam Johnston for a 3-yard connection, as that'll make 3rd and 7. 5 wide set here, folks, on 3rd down as Scott looks to throw to the, well, he was looking for, I believe, Copeland again, and off his hands, nearly intercepted. They'll stay out there on 4th down. Scott looks to throw, and he's bottled up. That is Todd Lynch. And folks, that I think all but does it. Todd Lynch has just sacked John Scott on 4th down. It's a turnover on downs as Sanford takes back over. And now they can go to this dominant ground game that has just worked out all day for them. A gain of 3 here for Dwayne Jones-Carter. 2nd and 7 is Baker under center. He'll hand off to Carter again. He's got a little bit of room around that right side, but he can't find enough as he'll lose one there. It actually looked like he ran back a little further than only 1 yard. As we see the replay, I thought he was going to find the edge. He was unable to, sadly. 3rd and 8 now, shotgun formation. Baker to throw. He finds a wide open Brandon King. 1st down, Sanford. It is 1st and 10 once again. Now Baker takes off on the run, and he's going to pick up the first, a gain of 16. 1st and 10, still in the pistol. It's Baker rolling out. He's going to just go and take off with a nice block, and that is enough. He got a very nice block upfield. I believe it was Brandon King that actually got that block for him. But nonetheless, a great run there, and indeed it was Brandon King. Another touchdown, Sanford. We take you to a much tighter game, 38-35. Oregon just over Washington right now in the 4th. It's 1st and 10 for Houston. 5 wide set. They just, I think, are playing for pride at this point, as that one goes out of bounds, and Scott has not looked good all day long. 2nd and 10. Scott looks to throw. He can't connect as that one's deflected. Tony Baker. I'm sorry, I called him Troy earlier. I apologize for that. Tony Baker with the deflection, and I think he could have come away with that one. As Scott on 3rd down, able to connect this time with Sam Johnston, a gain of 14. As this has become really just about this 2nd string defense now, as a throw here by Scott taken away. That's Jeff Adams. And was that one-handed? I can't wait to see this replay. He won it, I believe that's Richardson, but Adams just takes it away with one hand. 5 interceptions on the day, folks. As Dwayne Jones-Carter can't find any room. He's bottled up by Josh Hawthorne. But at this point, I don't think anything is a negative. 2nd and 14 as the clock continues to tick. Carter cannot find any room on that run. He's brought down by from Marlon Brown. 3rd and 14, and really I'd say a first down here ends this game significantly as Taylor Moore able to pick up the first down. It just continues to get worse for Houston. The handoff goes to Dwayne Jones-Carter here on first. A gain of 6. He's able to find some room around that right guard spot. 2nd and 4. Man in motion was Ryan Schimmel as Dwayne Jones-Carter gets the handoff. It's going to be another 8-yard gain. 1st and 10, folks, with just about 2 minutes left to go. They'll go option. Good blocks up front. And there goes Baker. It was Brown and Carter that got the blocks that led to that touchdown. Tyrese Baker in the end zone as we've got a final for you from Washington. They keep their streak alive. 42-38. The Huskies are undefeated still. 1st and 10 now here for Houston as they continue to fight for pride. They go to the screen for Jorge Joyce, and he's going to pick up around 3 on that one. So 2nd and 7 here. Scott looking to throw. He sets up another screen for Joyce. It seems the confidence in John Scott has plummeted. 3rd and inches after the about 7-yard gain there as a quick jump it looked like by Quinn Collins, and indeed it was. That's going to be encroachment. That will give Houston the automatic first down. So not a good look there for Quinn Collins, who's actually looked fairly good against this offensive line. As once again another throw here from Houston. That's Lynn Forte, a 6-yard gain at the sideline. 2nd and 4. Scott connects with Johnston. That's going to be a 5-yard gain. Enough for the first down. And with a minute and a half, I think Scott's just looking to score as he gets drilled there. I'm not sure who came in. I want to say that was Gordon Sutton. But what a hit. 2nd and 10. Scott looks to throw. He connects with Forte, but just goes out of bounds for only a yard. This Sanford defense, folks, this is not the starters. This is the backups playing right now. And they are playing great as the pressure forces a sack. It was Lynch and I believe maybe Quinn Collins got in there. Yes, indeed. Quinn Collins helping out a bit on that sack. As that will bring an end to this ball game. I just got to say this much. Dwayne Jones-Carter, if you hadn't heard of him, now you know. And John Scott, I hope you enjoyed your welcome back because this team was ready. And my God, were they focused. Sanford defeats Houston. They take the AAC front running and they end the Cougars' undefeated streak. Your final from Sanford, 56-14. John Scott returns. And this defense made him pay for it. 5 total interceptions. 2 from Justice. 1 from Hurd. 1 from Wolf. And 1 from Adams. What a game by this team. Second stringers and starters. Once again, your final. Houston 14. Sanford College 56. You've been watching the Coyotes Football Network. I've been Jonathan West. We will see you next week.